चादर, कॉटन की चादर, कैशमेट चादर, जैपनीज चादर, रेशम की चादर, सिंगल की चादर, डबल की चादर, सोफे, सोफे के कवर, सोफे की गद्दी के कवर, गद्दे के कवर, वाटरप्रूफ गद्दे के कवर, ठीक। फ्रिज के कवर, मशीन के कवर, टेबल के कवर, डाइनिंग टेबल के कवर, किचन कवर, डोर कवर, एसी के कवर।
अस्सलाम वालेकुम सर. Hello.
Good morning, Kamlesh sir. Kamlesh sir, you were on mute perhaps.
Good morning, Bhaskar sir.
Yeah, good morning.
Yeah. ठीक है. और जो ऑर्गेनाइज करता है उसकी करता है. और में तो उसको Yeah. Good morning, sir.
Very good morning to
Sagar
you.
sir is there.
Yes, I am there. Hello.
Am I audible to all of you?
Yes, sir, you are audible. Pretty audible.
Okay. Am I audible to all of you? Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Okay, Sagar sir is
Good
here.
morning, sir.
Good
Very
morning,
good
sir.
morning to all of you.
Bhaskar sir is from Enabler. They are the job creator for the market, and they are training the students, and they are with us for this event. They are giving the technical and basic support to all of us. So just to begin with, I would like to start. Abdul Hannan and Asba, where are you?
Yes, sir, we are here.
So can you start? Is there?
Yes, sir, of course. Bismillah Rahman Rahim.
Please go ahead.
In the Okay, sir. Bismillah Rahman Rahim. In the name of Almighty, the most gracious, the most merciful. I am joined by Asba today, and she is the co-moderator. I'd request Asba to please start the introduction of the dignitary and present the PPT. Asba, go ahead.
Thank you, Hanan. A very good and warm morning to all of you. I hope, in the name of Allah, I would like to begin this webinar. I welcome everyone for today's session, which is business opportunities in food processing industry. Without any further delay, I would like to introduce our guest speaker for this session, Mr. Sagar. Good morning, sir.
Very good morning, Fatma. How are you?
Yes, sir. Fine. How?
Very good, very good. Fatima, I also have a presentation if allowed. Otherwise, I can speak in general, not a problem.
Okay, sir. We'll discuss the PPT. Sure.
If I can make a presentation online, if that's okay. Otherwise, I'm happy to talk on the subject.
Okay.
So in the beginning, we will introduce about yourself, and thereafter we will give the audience to you. You can speak the way you want. You want to present, you can present, whatever the thing. And then after your the entire the explanation, we will give the students some time. The moderator will ask the question, and they will choose the what are the question which is related directly with the student as well as with you. So at the last of 10 or 12, 15 minutes, we will give a question and answer session also. So students, be ready with the questions if you have, and you have just write on the chat box about your question, and the moderator will help to reach to the sir. Okay, sir, please begin. Asba, please begin.
Yes, sir. So, to introduce our guest speaker, Mr. Sagar. He is an expert on food processing and associated infrastructure and technology, heading the India's oldest and leading human projects private limited. He has done his educational qualification from Delhi Public School, RK Puri, and MBA from University of Hartford. Having a look on the work experience, Sir was a product manager with SBC USA from May 1999. Then he presided over All India Food Processors Organization, and later he project consulting private limited as managing director, and currently he is working with this firm. Apart from that, I'd like to inform that he was recently elected as the national vice president of Association of Food Scientists and Technologists. And about Suman Consultants Private Limited, it is a 48-year-old consulting company in India in agri infrastructure and food processing sector. Now I would like to hand over to Hanan. Hanan, please.
Fatima, you are. Have you given the dice to me?
Yes, sir, you can proceed.
Yeah, I would like to make a presentation, Fatima, if you can allow me to put that through. I
Yes,
think
sir,
you.
sure. So you can present your screen.
I think your. Let me make my presentation.
हमें खबर रहती है कल निकल रहा हूँ मुंबई ऑब्वियस की बात है अभी तो जाके एग्जैक्टली चलेगा तो सेकंड वो है
All right. Can you guys see my?
वो लापरवाह थोड़ा सा है वो थोड़ा लापरवाह मैंने उससे बोला नहीं है
Can you
Yes, sir.
presentation?
Yes, sir.
नहीं नहीं वो थोड़ा सा वैसे ही है
Let me share a perspective. Dr. Jamshed, I think your voice is coming through on the background. If you can mute. All right, friends. I'm here to talk about the business opportunity currently available within the food processing sector in India. Before I go, although Fatima has shared a little bit about us, but let me share. We are India's leading consulting company within the food processing space. Over the last 45, 48 years, we have set up more than 550 plants and projects, all within the food processing space in India and abroad. And we have a couple of offices in Delhi, Mumbai, and Bangalore. Our clients pretty much include who's who of the food processing world, whether it's a Fortune 100 company or an Indian multinational company or government of India or small and medium enterprises. You name it, they are our clients in this sector. Without talking much about us, I would like to move forward with the topic. And let me share a little bit perspective about the food processing industry that is currently where it stands. So let's look at where India stands first of all within the commodity space and where India ranks. So if you see, India is by far the world's second largest producer of fruits and second largest producer of vegetables. But there are specific opportunities within this, as well as in cereal, grains, and meat, where we are world number one in terms of value, production, and percentage share. So if you see, we are one of the leading producer of banana, although hardly we are processing banana from a value-added perspective. We contribute in terms of meat. We are world's largest exporter of buffalo meat. From ginger, chickpeas, okra. I mean, we really have a major share in terms of world production. Even if you look at number two aspect of it, you would find that we are major producers, say when we are looking at potatoes, when we are looking at rice, when we are looking at wheat. I mean, there are so many commodities in India where we are either the world number one or world number two, which, my friends, for your generation is a good news because if you look at where India was 40, 50 years back, we had a situation where we had a shortage of grain and the green revolution took place, and that led to a lot of increase in production. And the more the production, the more the value added opportunities that typically emerge. The wonderful thing about India is the fact that there are so many agri-climatic zones that are there. So we have both tropical fruits available, tropical related temperate fruits available. We have different geographical areas that are there. And one of the key aspects that we typically always tell our clients is always build on strength. So, for example, let's take a perspective when we are looking at food processing sector. Suppose you want to put an apple juice concentrate plant, and you are looking at Madhya Pradesh. Let me tell you, it will never be viable because the cost at which apples can be made available in Himachal, Jammu, Kashmir will be significantly less than the cost at which an apple is made available in Madhya Pradesh or in Maharashtra and a couple of other places. So you have to understand that when somebody is looking to set up a food processing plant, what is the local strength? And accordingly, you have to build it up. That's a so you have to understand the commodity strengths of different states within India before actually deciding to put what plant in what particular place. One of the key factors, which I'm sure you guys are aware, but one of the key factors are that, India is largely an Indian. Friends, can you hear me? I believe I was logged out.
Yes, we can hear you, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Let me share quickly where I was so that we can talk a little bit about this. So, so friends, the basic problem that happens with regard to the Indian food processing sector is the low levels of processing that are currently taking place. Keep in mind that while we are the world's second largest producer of fruits and vegetables in the world, the level of processing is pretty low as compared to the rest of the world. And even if we are processing milk at 35% levels, our export point of view is not significant because the levels and the cost and the quality aspects are seriously impacted. For example, I will tell you that India is, with the kind of level of milk that we produce, we are not competitive in the global market when it comes to the skim milk powder export, for example. And somebody like Russia or many other countries are able to kind of supply the skim milk powder at a much lower rate to us. And that's primarily because our quality of milk as well as in terms of our sourcing cost, the cost at which we are able to source and process the milk. I mean, there are a lot of factors that go into play in which you have to understand where food processing sector currently stands. One thing I can tell you is if you take a perspective of where Indian economy is, Indian economy currently stands at as Prime Minister Modi ji mentioned that it wants to be about $5 trillion, but the fact is currently it stands about $3 odd trillion. And from that $3 odd trillion, food processing sector currently contributes about $375 billion. And that means that about 12% of the Indian economy, food processing sector directly contributes to the same. For that reason, because the government of India finds that we are an agrarian economy and food processing sector is a major contributor to India's growth, it is the lowest hanging fruit that can be taken, plucked and processed and we can take forward. So therefore, friends, you have to understand that we as in a country are in a region where we have an agrarian base, and if the country has to grow, if we have to grow as an economy, then we have to look at value addition opportunities that are typically emerging, and there is no better industry in India than food processing sector. Some of the key drivers that are currently emerging in the food processing space is the fact that India has a rising disposable income. If you see the per capita income of India about 8 years back, it was about $1,500 US. Now it currently stands at $2,000 US. So the per capita income is rising. We also have a rising middle class emerging. We have families which are dual income today, and hence convenience is a key factor that kind of plays in the growth of food processing sector. That is also leading to the fact that geopolitically India is well placed. We have rising exports. We have supply side advantages that we typically mentioned. If you remember, I talked about where India stands in terms of mini horticulture products. And we have also policy support, which is coming from government, whereby different incentives are coming through. I will be talking about that as we go forward in the food processing space. So when we look at food processing space, what are we really talking about? So we are really talking about fruits and vegetables. You can look to kind of process fruits and vegetables into different derivatives. We have milk. You can look to process that into ghee, butter, skim milk powder, tone milk, so many things. We have meat and poultry sector. We have marine product sector. We have grain processing, and we have many consumer related food products that are currently emerging. So keep in mind that together this currently stands as far as the total food processing sector is emerging. When it comes to the processing level, I've already shared which commodity currently stands. But it's also important for you to understand that where most of the food processing industry currently in India is placed. So if you see the southern states are dominant in Andhra and Tamil Nadu. If you see about almost 40% of total food processing units are basically located in Andhra and Tamil Nadu. And yet we have other states also such as Maharashtra, Punjab, Uttar Pradesh, Karnataka, Gujarat and West Bengal. So about 76% of the total food processing units are typically located in these 8 states, and the remaining 24% are located in all the other states mentioned. So the lesson learned here is that the other states have a huge gap to catch up to and ensure that they provide a favorable environment whereby food processing sector typically emerges and comes about. One of the key things that have emerged in food processing sector is that government of India has come up with a food park infrastructure. If you see, we have about 175 food parks and about 42 mega food parks that are there. But keep in mind that the opportunity is with regard to putting a food processing unit in the food park and not necessarily setting up of the food park, because I think in India there is enough space within the food park world, and many of these food parks are not necessarily fully operational from a point of view of capacity utilization. So idea is to put a food processing unit within this food park. Of course, you can also be setting up outside of this food park also. But if you put in a food park, a food processing unit, there are certain specific incentives Government of India gives to these units. And I will be talking about that as we go ahead. One of the key factor also that you need to look into is the wastage across various commodities that are there in India, and there are a lot of value from waste opportunities also that you need to be looking at. If you see from the fruit and vegetable perspective, we are wasting about 18% of the fruits and vegetable, and this really does not take into account the commodities that are going into processing. And during the processing, there is wastage from that are not generated into value addition. I'll give you a perspective. So, for example, if we are doing apple juice concentrate, I took an example earlier. At the end of the day, after taking the juice out, there is pomace that gets left. And there is a lot of pectin content in it. And there is hardly any value addition related to the pomace taking place. Also, when we are looking at juices, jams, especially related to citrus fruits, there's a lot of wastage related to the peels and skins that typically take place. And both these pomace as well as skin has a lot of pectin content in it. And India, as of yet, is a major importer of pectin. While I believe that India can be a major exporter of pectin by extracting this pectin from various citrus peel as well as pomace associated with it. India is doing well, but there are a lot of value from waste opportunities that are emerging. Another example I can tell you is extraction of tannin from, say, pomegranate peel. I mean, when you process pomegranate, there's a lot of tannin content, 23%, if I'm correct, in the peel, and it gets wasted. So that typically helps in leather softening. Tannin is also used in terms of color industry, paint industry. There's so many aspects to it. So look at this value from waste opportunities that are currently existing in India. Let me give you a perspective from a point of view of cold storage, because we have almost about 32 million metric tons of cold storage, which is great. It has grown in last 10 years. About 12 million metric tons has been added over the last 12 years. But I think we still have a lot to go. Keep in mind that almost 35% of these 32 million metric cold storage capacity typically is of 1,000 metric tons or less. And also that is typically skewed because 65% of these cold storages are simply in Uttar Pradesh and West Bengal. And remaining 35% of the cold storages are across the rest of the country. I mean, you can imagine how skewed that typically is. Primarily, these cold storages, if you see from Uttar Pradesh and West Bengal, are dedicated towards potato-oriented cold storage because Uttar Pradesh, West Bengal, and Bihar are major potato belts. But having said that, there is a huge opportunity with regard to increasing our cold storage infrastructure, although it has already grown significantly. But I think as ready-to-eat frozen food sector, as fresh foods, fresh vegetables will get value added, will get processed, these emerging opportunities will keep on increasing over time. Opportunities in terms of commodities that we have, I just wanted to share with you some commodities such as apple, mangoes, kiwis, onions, bananas, potatoes, fish, and dairy. And we have tried to identify and share with you where exactly these opportunities are with regard to cold storages. When I say cold storages, I also include CA storages and MA storages or standalone storages also. Another opportunity that we have is the research and development capabilities. Friends, keep in mind that we cannot grow and be a dominant player in the world market without focusing on our R&D capabilities. And in India, I believe the R&D capabilities currently are seriously lacking and has a huge scope of improvement. I'll give you a perspective. If you see our chart here, you would find that whatever India exports, majority of that share of exports, are typically to our neighboring countries, whether it is the Middle Eastern country, whether it's the in East or West or CIS countries. The highly developed markets such as the Western world markets, European markets, the US, Canada markets, our share of contribution of India's exports is significantly less. So it's important to kind of make sure that we are able to upgrade our R&D capabilities. And the reason for one of the key factors is the traceability factor, the quality factors that come into play in our supply chain issues. And that's important for the students to keep in mind in order to look for opportunities. I talked about the government incentives that are there. So let me share that perspective. I wanted to share this slide with all the students to reflect the kind of approval and clearances that one has to take when you are looking to set up a food processing unit. I mean, imagine there are more than about 16 odd approvals that you have to take, whether it's from FSSAI, whether it's from Pollution Control Board, whether it's from fire prevention, labor license, you name it, they are all there. And an entrepreneur typically has to look into each and every aspect of it in order to move forward. So, friends, this is an important aspect. So, Government of India, rather each state, is therefore looking to create a single window clearance system as much as possible. You have certain progressive states such as Andhra Pradesh, Punjab, who have put a truly good single window clearing system. But it typically means that an entrepreneur has to apply at only one place, and from that single window, he can get all the approvals and processes in place. Otherwise, for an SME sector or anyway, it becomes a horrendous task of going from pillar to post in offices and offices to get the permissions for many, many aspects of this. I also talked about the incentives that are there for food processing sector. So if you see under Kisan Sampada Yojana, Government of India has given incentive as in capital incentive to food processing sector, where 35% of the project cost up to 5 crores is given in general areas, and 50% of the eligible project cost, again up to 5 crores, 5 crores is the cap, is given in northeastern states and hilly areas such as Uttarakhand, Himachal, Jammu, Kashmir, etc. Keep in mind for the cold storage or cold chain side, if you're putting a milk processing plant, if you're putting frozen IQF processing plant or many other frozen cold storage infrastructure, the cap that is there is about 10 crores, which means while the eligibility is 35% of the eligible project cost, the cap is typically at 10 crores for cold storage infrastructure. Cold chain infrastructure, which I just mentioned. This is the same slide typically talking into account. And it is always the endeavor as India integrates itself with the world, as Indian standards integrates itself with Codex standards, it becomes very, very important to ensure that the food testing lab are also upgraded and the quality aspects are also strengthened about. If you see about 10 years back, the number of labs that were approved by FSSAI was significantly less as compared to where we stand. Even EIC approved lab, NABL approved lab, the number of labs have significantly gone up over time. One thing that students may or may not be aware of is also with regard to the incentives that are given by the Government of India. So, for example, if you set up a food processing unit, for the first 5 years, there is no income tax on your food processing unit, and from 6th year to 10th year, 25% of the applicable income tax is charged. So keep that in mind, and each state has a different incentives in place. Those incentives of each state can go from 50 lakhs to about 5 crores depending upon which state you are looking to set up the food processing. Like for example, Odisha may give up to 2 crores or Jharkhand may give up to 2 crores, Odisha may give up to 1 crore, UP may give up to 50 lakhs in terms of state incentives, but Government of India's capital incentives are a little different and much higher. We have talked about this Kisan Sampada Yojana and everything. What I do want to talk about is the value chain that currently exists within the food processing space that is there. So if you're looking at from a point of view of the chain, we have inputs, production, procurement, storage, processing, and retailing. So when we are looking from farm to fork, that's pretty much our complete chain. And within each chain, whether we are looking at inputs, whether we are looking at production, whether we are looking at storage, whether we are looking at retailing or processing, we have each of these particular value chain having opportunities that are emerging, which I think students should definitely look at and should be glad that these are certain scenarios that are emerging in India. I want to share a perspective with regard to where India's exports stand vis-a-vis where the Indian food processing exports stands. So if you see this chart, you will find that India currently exports about $22 billion of food to the world. Keep in mind that India total export is about $310 billion. And of that, food processing, and I'm not taking into account the seafood. If you take the seafood, $7 billion exports of seafood also, plus other exports such as fruits, vegetable, meat, cereal, grains also, you are looking at almost $30 billion of exports, which means almost 10% of the total exports that take place is contributed by singly by food processing sector through various value-added food commodities as such. In terms of Indian imports, I wanted to make you aware that we are currently importing edible oil, pulses, wheat, some fruits and vegetables, and sugar. These are our key imports that are currently happening. And India's agrarian imports, exports are kind of showing an upward trend that is there, primarily because I mean, just to give you a perspective, for example, we are India's largest producer of pulses, but we are also the world's largest consumer of pulses. And the gap between pulses is of 5 million metric tons, which means almost 5 million metric tons of pulses are getting imported into India with not much of exports happening, in addition to our entire production that's taking place. So this is something that I wanted to share with you as in pulses. So what are the key factors that are driving this? I mentioned about the changing consumer trends that are there. Dual income households, I mentioned urbanization, young population, growing population, they are all key factors. We have Indian economy that has opened up over the last 20, 30 years. Since 1992, the liberalization took place, but the key growth started happening from mid-90s onwards. So we have 25 years of Indian economy opening up. We have international companies that are currently coming into India, looking to set up their factories, offices. Also, another factor that is key playing is the geopolitical situation that's currently emerging. This is something, as in future things that will evolve. Geopolitically, there are people in food processing sector or a lot of global companies are looking to kind of decouple their supply chain, which may or may not have been dependent only on China. So what you are finding is that you are finding a scenario or a scenario emerging whereby companies don't want to be dependent on one single supply chain, and China was playing a key role to the global supply chain pre-pandemic. But post-pandemic, things are changing and things are emerging. And you have more and more international companies that may not look to get out of China probably, but may look to have India as an alternate source in addition to China. So keep that as a perspective that we have. Another aspect that's emerging in India are the healthier trends. So you have a younger generation that's looking for healthier options. So innovative products are typically emerging. Innovation is one of the key factors that are there. And innovation you're also finding in packaging sector. So you are also finding the processed food being packaged in new and new innovative ways, which is leading to increased demand that is there. Just to give you a perspective, 30 years back, we may have been packaging pulp and concentrate in cans. Today, we are also packaging in aseptic drums. I mean, there's so many packaging options that have emerged today. Another key factor is the growth of frozen food. Keep in mind that the both ready-to-eat and sector has emerged. So this ready-to-eat is an aspect that impacts the convenience and addresses the convenience side. So you have a snack food sector in India that's really doing well. You have a retort type packed products and food that are really doing well. and you have the frozen food side, which are really doing well. Also, that has improved are the linkages between farmers that have emerged, and even in the current agrarian reforms that we saw government of India introduce. The stress is for companies to source directly as much as for possible from farmers, and to allow farmers to sell to companies in their neighboring states also, versus selling only to their states agri mandis. And this will lead to more opportunities that will be emerging in this sector. With that, I like to conclude. I think I have already talked a lot in food processing sector, but one of the few things that I want to share in addition is the fact that students keep in mind that there are multitude of opportunities in food processing sector that will emerge. Let's talk from a point of view of just manufacturing. I mean, if you look at manufacturing, the key is basically to look at opportunities to increase the shelf life of a particular commodity through value addition, and so that it's acceptable to the palates of the consumer. And within that, we are trying to do this through typically three means. We are looking to either process and pack them in a good way. We are looking to dehydrate them. We are looking to freeze them. So there are value-added opportunities that are emerging there. But in addition, you have value-added opportunities that are emerging also in the service side. So you have a growth of labs that are there. It has been mandatory for each food manufacturing unit to have its own lab. That is definitely there. You have opportunities that are emerging on many service side, the supply chain side of the food sector, which was not significant as an opportunity till kind of we now have Amazon type companies. We have food delivery companies that have emerged that are there on the supply chain side. So, keep in mind there is also opportunities in terms of certifications. If you are looking for exports, many of these countries are looking for EIC certification because India is part of the WTO signatory. Or companies need to have ISO 22000 certification or FSSC 22000 certifications. So there are a lot of companies that are emerging, opportunities that are emerging, and I think the students should look at food processing sector as an opportune time, and I congratulate whoever has decided to enter this field. This next 30 years, 50 years is going to be a booming time for food processing sector in India. With that, I like to conclude on my presentation, and I'm happy to take any questions that anybody may have with regard to the food processing space.
Yes, sir. We had a few questions lined up, and thank you for such a great presentation. It was very informative. Shabana, are you online?
Yes, Abdul.
Yeah, Shabana, go ahead and ask the question.
Okay, thank you so much. Good morning, sir. Hope you are fine. Okay.
Absolutely, Harmini. Thank you for asking.
Yes, sir. So this is the first question. Like, what are the upcoming challenges faced by food processing industry during this pandemic time, and how can we tackle this?
See, the biggest challenge that industry faced was in terms of the capacity utilization, because during the pandemic times, what we saw was, except for essential commodities, in fact, essential commodities saw an increase in demand. So you had instant noodles, biscuits, snack foods, etc., that saw an increase in demand because of the convenience aspect of it. But many other industries within or verticals within the food processing space saw a dip in demand, and therefore, right now for next 2 years, the idea is to address the capacity utilization by many of these companies, and even essential commodity companies, say Britannia's, say Haldiram, Bikaner, Wala, so many other companies that are focused. They are all looking to grow their business. ITC is another example. They're all looking to grow to ensure that this increased demand is met and capacity utilization is achieved. That is key aspect of it.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. Sir, for example, if we want to, just to write some research or articles on this topic, so in this food industry also, what is the main and key topic where we can just research or write something about it?
What do you want to research or write on specifically, Shabana? Uh,
Uh, yes, sir. Sir, it's like we want to know about the specific thing where on which we can write something, we can get some stuff, and which is very good also.
My best recommendation to you is to do a case study, because if you take any company, let's assume you pick ITC, all right. All the information, it's a listed company, all right. Or if you say Britannia or Parle, it's a listed company. A listed company would have all details already online on their site, their quarter to quarter impact, which product segment grew, which product segment did not grow, what are the overall impact on revenue, what are the additions, expansion plans, everything. So pick up a company and do its case study. If you do pick up a big company like an ITC, which is into multi products, you would find where and how companies are strategizing in terms of their growth. So my suggestion to you is do a case study on any food company that is there available. If it's a listed company, all the more better. You will get you will get information easily, and you can use it to analyze it further.
Yes, sir. Sir, okay, sir. We can do this. Thank you so much for sharing this. Sir, I would like to request Saurabh. He just wanted to ask some question. Saurabh, are you there? So you can take the lead, please.
Yes, sir. Sir, am I audible?
Hi, absolutely, Saurabh. Go ahead.
Good morning, sir.
Very good morning to you, Saurabh.
Sir, my question was, I was reading a report where it says that around 30% of Indian agriculture produce is lost due to coal infrastructure. And I want to know, due to coal, yeah, and supply chain problem. Sir, my question is, we are seeing a news of new farm bill. We state that the farmers can directly sell their products to wholesalers or agtech companies. So, what is industry perspective? Like, will this bill be beneficial for both farmers and industry, or it is just a matter of political debate?
No, see, agri reform bills are in as far as food industry's opinion is concerned, are significant for the food processing industry because it addresses multitude of issues. Okay, agri reform bill on one side addresses the Essential Commodities Act. Okay, there are three aspects of it. I mean, one is the Essential Commodities Act. Another is with regard to the contract farming that it typically addresses. Okay, so let's look at it from that point of view. If you see Essential Commodities Act, this is something that we had in a different form even before India got independent. And India continued forward with the, you see, what used to happen is Britishers at that particular point of time used to use the Essential Commodity Act to control what gets produced in India and what products they can export depending upon their specific needs. Okay, so when India got independent, India carried forward with the Essential Commodities Act primarily because we had a lot of shortage of food. So therefore, the government also wanted to have some kind of a system in which priority can be put in terms of what gets produced, where it gets produced. But India of today is very, very different. I mean, we have a huge, as you mentioned, food products getting wasted in India. And therefore, it becomes very, very important to address that and not control how much gets produced where and stuff like that, or what price at which it gets sold. So once this price factor is removed from a point of view of, there's a minimum sale price that typically product gets sold at. Now, what was happening is this minimum sale price was taken as a maximum sale price. and then many of the farmers were getting this, were able to sell their products only at that MSP price. So it was important to look at MSP as a minimum sale price and not a maximum sale price. And new farm bill addresses that. Another thing that it addresses is the fact that we have a situation in India where our land holdings of individual farmers are going smaller and smaller and smaller. So a small farmer cannot afford to really send his food products all the way across to a mandi, and therefore becomes dependent on a lot of middlemen that are there, to whom this product gets sold. So it was important to ensure that the farmer has a certain convenience where he is able to sell it to its nearest source, whether it's a middleman or whether it is a processing unit. And a lot of farmers on the borderline state, suppose a farmer in UP, all right, say I'm a farmer near Meerut or something, and I want to sell my thing to in Delhi unit or a Haryana Sonipat Rai processing plant. There were taxes that get applicable on the manufacturing units also. So the contract farming, this enable and encourages contract farming to be done. This is my perspective, sort of, on this matter.
Thank you so
Thank
much,
you,
sir.
sir. Thank you.
Is
Sir, I have one more
Enema?
question.
Oh, okay.
Sir, can a student of general management have a career in food processing industry? And if yes, what are the specific skills needed?
You are looking at one. I think any person with general management skills has opportunity in food processing sector, and food processing sector is huge. I mean, first of all, it's very very important that whatever you do, you should understand your subject well. You have to understand the food processing industry very very well, and within that there are huge opportunities. I mean, today Amazon is looking at food. You have global supply chains looking at food. I mean, food is not specific to just processing, understanding the process aspect of it. Food is also understanding the finance related aspect of it. Food is also understanding the supply chain aspect of it. Food is also related to marketing aspects of it. I mean, there are so many opportunities in food processing sector. That it's getting bigger and bigger. But of course, what is key is it doesn't matter which field you are from. You have a knowledge of the subject, and keep in mind this knowledge is ever increasing, ever growing. You should never stop being a student of food technology and food processing ever. Never say I am here to learn from some students here. For that matter, never say that you know everything. So always, one thing about food technology is the technology. So, and technology is ever changing. Just to give you a perspective, if I have to put a dehydration plant 40 years back, we would be looking at solar or maybe air dried maximum. Today, technologies which are freeze drying. We are looking at technology with osmotic drying. We are looking at technologies which are vacuum dried. I mean, there are so many other technologies that are immersed, infrared, microwave, so many. So you have to have a detailed understanding of the subject. Then whatever you enjoy as a field or aspect within that vertical, go for it. You will do well.
Thank you so much, sir.
Yes, sir. We have so many questions. Enema, are you online?
Yeah. Abdul, if there's any question on anybody looking to set up a food processing plant or looking to be an entrepreneur, I am more happy to take those also.
Yes, sir. I guess she's not online. I had my own question. Like, as we are aspirants and pursuing MBA right now, and when we hear processing, and food processing to be precise, we immediately think of FMCG only. So, like, and it is a part of food processing, of course. So how do you differentiate and the opportunities that the students have apart from FMCG and the other parts of food processing industry?
So, as I said, fast moving consumer goods are definitely a key vertical within the food processing space. But keep in mind, there is also huge opportunities in other areas also of food processing. For example, ingredients. I mean, there are so many ingredients that go within the food processing space that you cannot really like. I'll give you a perspective. I cannot make juices without having pulp and concentrate, right? I mean, I cannot today, if I have to make any snack food or snack pellets, potato flakes are looked at. I cannot make things without invert sugar syrup. I cannot make things without flavors, colors, essential oils, oleoresins. I mean, there are so many ingredients that typically go in food processing, in any frontline food products, that you have to look at it as a wholesome opportunity and not just as an FMCG side. And also, don't forget the opportunities also in the R&D space, opportunities also in the service sector side. I mean, it's a never-ending area within the food aspect space of it. Go ahead, Abdul. Any?
Yes, sir. One more question that I can see is uh, how and which type of jobs we can get in FSSAI with respect to MBA marketing. Although I know that you have answered this question, but students are keen to knowing in regards to jobs in FSSAI. You must be having some information regarding that.
So I guess FSSAI, as in is an ever-growing organization. It's an essential organization from Indian food industry perspective, because the quality standards, regulations with regard to the Indian food products gets defined by FSSAI. And we had a situation in the country a good 10, 12, 15 years back, where we had multiple standards that were applicable on food sector, which got combined into one, became an FSSAI. So there are several job opportunities in FSSAI, but specific to that, I guess FSSAI website would be the best to define. At every level, there is this opportunity. But my recommendation to students is, it's really a good time in food processing sector to create jobs, not just to be part of jobs. Yes, you can take your experiences within different companies to understand what is happening. But once you are comfortable, go into creating jobs. It's not an easy path, but if you see, most of the people who are considered as people running the FMCG company started in a small little way. You can start in a small little way, but look at creating jobs rather than just doing or being part of the job. Yeah.
So one of the questions that struck me is that, uh, as you mentioned, that we should also encourage entrepreneurship, and I'd like to collaborate two questions. It was asked by, I guess, Tanya Prasad, I guess. What are the skills required to tap into this industry? So I'd like to modify this question and ask you, what are the skills required to start a venture in food processing industry?
So I guess the key important skill is hunger, hunger for knowledge in terms of whatever you are planning to do. Being hungry and passionate to be successful, that is one of the key factors that is important in my opinion. As far as skill set is concerned, it's not necessarily about specific skill set. If you are an entrepreneur, you need to be open to understanding that not every day is going to be a great day. You need to be able to self-introspect yourself in terms of whether you are doing things right or wrong. You need to be taking customer feedback. Also, you need to ensure that you are able to take risks, because Some days you will earn money, some days you will lose money. All right. So you need to be able to take risks, and you need to know and be hungry for knowledge also with regard to the subject. Rest, everything is with regard to being a little professional about it and trying to understand that what I am thinking, is it really going to work or not, or is it a good idea to move forward with it or not. And in my opinion, if you can take a professional help to understand that, that's even better.
Asba,
Uh,
are you online? Go
yeah,
ahead.
I'm there. Sir, as you said that students should come up with the idea of being an entrepreneur, and especially they can go in food processing sector. But since agriculture, we very well know that 60% economy is dependent on agriculture, and but talking about being a female or a female entrepreneur, is it feasible for girls or women to be an entrepreneur in the agricultural sector? Because talking about the agricultural part, we know that it is more of a field driven job.
I think females can do any job either equal, if not better, than men. And I think their sixth sense is much better than men, in my personal opinion. And I think it's important. What is important is whether you believe in yourself or not, and that belief is very, very important. Whether you're a male, female, or any aspect, the question that you have to answer is, do you believe that there is an opportunity in terms of what you're looking at? And secondly, do you believe that you can do it or not? If you think that you are not capable, then build a team around you that is capable in helping you achieve your goals. It is if you want to achieve anything in life, keep in mind that it cannot be just you or me or I. It has to be done together by building a team, whether you are building a company, whether you are trying to achieve. And when you're building a team, you are coming as a single unit, as a single force. And at some point of time, people will ignore any physical characteristics and focus more on business. They will not look whether you're short, long, tall, fat, thin, doesn't matter. Male, female, it doesn't matter. What matters is what you are offering to as a gap area to address, and whether you are hungry to achieve it or not, and whether you can build a team around it to help you achieve that goal or not.
Saurabh, go next. You can ask the question.
So my question is, how challenging is to work in food tech industry, and what is the best field to work in quality check, production, or in marketing,
Uh,
according to you or as per your experience?
what was your first question, Saurabh? Can you repeat your question?
Sir, my question was, how challenging is to work in food tech industry?
It's never easy, Saurabh. It's anything to be successful. You need to always be able to open. It will always be challenging. The key is, there's an advertisement. Remember, "Dar ke aage jeet hai." So, question is, when you fall down, what do? You fall, you will, and hurt you will get, and challenging it will be. But question is, what you typically do when things are down. Do you still believe in that opportunity or not? In food tech field, there are several opportunities emerging. There are farmers who want to know their prices. There are people who want their food products on food orders on time. There are supply chain opportunities. There are commodity related opportunities. So if you can bring people on a platform and try to address those gaps, I think food tech is going to emerge as a major opportunity area. It doesn't matter irrespective of, because idea is once everybody is doing things independently, if you can come up with how these independent circles can be connected with each other and brought on a single platform, that will really, really help in moving this forward.
So, although food industry on the forefront has not been affected, like we are consuming food each and every day. However, one of the questions that I can see is how this pandemic has affected food processing industry. I'm pretty sure that at the back end, where the real magic happens, some of the it must have been difficult to cooperate in pandemic. So, are there any difficulties that you guys faced in the food processing industry whilst pandemic?
Yeah, I think huge. I think I answered that in I think one of the first questions I answered was this, that for food industry, pandemic was a big challenge, not for anything, but for the fact that we had labor issues, we had factories that had to be shut down. On ground where notifications were being made by government, there were a lot of people on ground, officers on ground who were not interpreting in the right way. And I think government of India has now come up to a realization that closing the economy is not going to help us, in a significant way in fighting, because you have all these other things that emerge that become challenging in addition to Corona. All right, so idea is to create probably an awareness. The strategy probably may be to generate awareness about Corona as much as possible. But I think government has primarily decided that closing the economy is not a solution to address, especially in a developing nation like India. And see, once you disturb a certain rhythm, for things to be falling back in place, it's going to take time. And in my opinion, it will take a year or two at least post the vaccines coming through for things to come back in place, post pandemic. So, but for every situation, there are opportunities. So, even in pandemic, we would not have been doing this if it was not for pandemic, right? I would be in your auditorium probably addressing you guys directly. We are doing this on Google Meet. We are doing this because of a certain situation, and that in itself is an opportunity area. So today, probably you get opportunity to meet senior people all online also. So explore that. For every challenge there is an opportunity. So I think focus on the opportunity side.
So, I guess you have tapped into the inner entrepreneur of Dr. Jamshed sir, and he's really keen to ask you that how much is the minimum investment required to start a business venture in respect to food industry. A minimum, and of course, there's no end to maximum.
Yes. See, minimum is nothing. All you need is an idea. Maximum can be anything. But I guess Dr. Jamshed's one of the key aspects is, see, to start or do something in food processing sector, you don't need to necessarily have a manufacturing unit. All right. You may not have. It takes a lot of money to start any manufacturing unit. You can look to set up a small manufacturing unit. Keep in mind, for everything there's a minimum viability factor. I'll just give you a perspective, and that's important to address. So, for example, if you are looking at a mushroom cultivation plant, right, anything less than 1 metric ton per day is not going to work out viably. From a commercial farming point of view, where you want to have mushrooms every day throughout the year. Same thing is when you're looking at something like dehydration aspect of it, something like 5 metric tons a day below will not work out viably. There are factors, that go. If I want to make pulp and concentrate, something like 5 metric ton, if I'm looking at evaporation also and concentration also, and something like less than 5 metric tons per hour is not going to work out viably. So there are minimum viable factors that are very, very important and critical in ensuring that if you're looking to put up a plant, you need to understand that what are my minimum viable levels at which I can make money below. If you produce, let's say you want to have a 1 metric ton per hour pulp and concentrate plant, when an ideal minimum viable capacity is 5 metric tons per hour. I assure you, whatever money you have put into the plant, you will end up losing, because the amount you will spend in processing and producing, you will not be making enough from point of view of income. So that would lead to closures. I guess what is important is to understand the minimum viable capacity of each processing plant, and also to ensure that really, if you don't want to set up a plant, you can always look to outsource or co-manufacture, or bring in investors if you just have an idea, if you have a good idea. And even investors would be ready to kind of join in if the idea is really good and put their money instead. You have to put your money onwards.
Yes, sir. On a realistic point of view, not everyone. Okay, yeah, Yakshi Khan, you wanna ask a question? Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yes. Good morning, sir. Sir, I've done my BTech in food technology, and the reason I'm pursuing MBA is just because I want to be a quality manager.
Yeah.
And the question I want to ask you is that when I was working as a quality control in the quality control team, so there were some points which were missing, I felt, uh, in the management section. So, what are the opportunities I want to ask? Like, if there's someone who is from a technical and management background, so what changes can we do in quality control for a company?
What can you? Sorry, I missed your last. But what can you?
What changes can we do in quality control for a company?
What changes can we do? All right. So that's a good question, Yakshi. So keep in mind that quality control is not only about looking at the quality of product, but also about looking into processes. Okay. So there are a lot of processes and standard operating protocols that are important to be followed in order to ensure that the product quality is what is expected out of it. So you can be looking at it from a point of view whether, I mean, there is obviously what we call HACCP, where you need to see whether critical control, at each critical control point, the quality parameter is adhered to or not. And then whatever is that quality parameter, you have to ensure that it is consistent. But you have to also ensure that to achieve that, there are necessary or required protocols that are getting followed, not only from a point of view of processing, but also from a point of view of infrastructure. So, I mean, you may put your SOPs in place, standard operating protocols in place. You may ensure that you have an HACCP plan in place, but you also have to ensure that the product flow is right, the material flow is right, the manpower flow is right. You have to ensure that the infrastructure, small little things are rightly put. The product is moving in a certain sequence associated with it. So my suggestion to you, Yakshi, is if you have to change anything in terms of quality, look at the current protocols being followed, look at the current standards being followed, understand where the company wants to go with it. So, for example, you may have an FSSAI approval, all right, but the product may require an EIC certification also. Okay, Export Inspection Council certification also. So, Export Inspection Council certification would require a certain protocol to be followed. Okay, that you have to have these things in place. See whether the company has it or not. See what are the plans of the company based upon that, whether they're willing to invest the time, energy, effort, money into changing that. And if they are, go ahead, make yourself as critical. My recommendation to anybody who wants to work with any company is make yourself as critically important to that company as possible. They should, in any company you're working, they should feel कि आपके बिना काम नहीं होने वाला. That aspect, you are the best person at that job, at what you do, and without you, things in that place or or that part of that organization will not get achieved. Make yourself critical to the organization. That's where you kind of sustain. That's how you kind of grow.
Okay, sir.
Uh,
Thanks.
Yes, I have a question.
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, good morning, sir. I am a student of the MBA from first year, section B. Then my question is that how to tackle wasted food, because in India there are you have told that 80% food fruits and vegetable is the wasted. Then how can process 18? Yes, yes, 18, 1 8. 18% waste foods, and there are lots because of lost of food. And in India there are 13 I think 13 crore people only eat one times. So how to tackle this situation?
So, is that Hassan? Is that right? So, Hassan, my suggestion to you is look at where things stand in terms of the wastage. You have to understand why wastage is specifically occurring. And I mean, you can say in general there is a wastage of 18% happening in food, but where is it in fruits and vegetables? But where is it occurring is you have to understand. So they occurs typically at farm level. So when the product is getting harvested, it occurs there. Then it occurs in the supply chain aspect of it. So in transportation to different storage centers, it typically gets wasted there. Then it occurs in the storage centers itself. That gets added. And in each step of the supply chain, till the point that the produce reaches the consumer, there is wastage happening. Even if you're a local ready fruit seller, if you're looking to do, I mean, there will be fruits that you see are not in the perfect shape. It's also got to do with how we are handling the fruit. So the key to the wastage is, one, you need to improve your storage infrastructure. That's where the opportunity is. And you need to increase your processing infrastructure. That's where the opportunity is. You see, one of the things that is happening in India, you have to understand, is that most of the production related to fruits, vegetables, and many products are oriented towards tabletop consumption, which means farmers are producing many commodities simply so that consumers can buy it fresh. Farmers are not producing from a point of view of processing to sell it to processing companies. So I'll give you an example. So let's take potatoes, right? There are more than 700, 600 odd potato varieties in India. But when we are looking to process potato into chips, or whether we are looking to process potato into flakes, we only require a certain variety of potatoes. And we require those potato varieties because we need to improve our input-output ratio, which means with same kg of potato, I can get maximum output. Now, I cannot source those potatoes from farmers who are not necessarily producing those varieties. Look, for example, if somebody is not producing Kufri Bahar, Chipsona 1, Chipsona 2, Chipsona 3, I am not in a position to procure them. So it's important to create an awareness where farmers are also not only producing general varieties, but also in terms of processing varieties. And sugarcane industry is the only one that you find that actually sugarcane is being produced for processing. Most of even if I take, say, something like a mango, there are more than 400 varieties of mangoes in India, but marketable varieties from a point of view of world market, and we are a dominant player. 50% of India's mango pulp concentrate and everything gets exported from India. I mean, we are that dominant. But only three are major varieties. That's Totapuri, Alfonso, and Kesar. So so idea is to have varieties where processing units are open to sourcing. Idea is to avoid wastage in each aspect of the supply chain. Therefore, the smaller the supply chain, the lesser would be wastage. Better the storage, the lesser would be the wastage. and more the processing, the lesser would be the wastage. So if you address these aspects of it, that is important. And once, even if it's processed, there is value from waste opportunities, that typically emerge, and that we should also look at. So those are the aspects you should look at.
So,
Hello, sir.
yeah,
Go ahead.
okay. So, sir, as we all know that because of increasing population in India and the urbanization, these were the two major reasons that we had a lack of, productivity in the agriculture sector, and that's why we roped in HYVs, that is high yielding varieties and genetically modified plants to increase the productivity. So there was a whole lot of debate on the use of GMOs. So, sir, what's your take on that? Whether the use of the genetically modified plants is, good or it is harmful. What's your take on that?
I think many, many of the products we are eating are anyway genetically modified in many, many ways. I mean, when we are looking at different varieties, what are we really doing of same commodity? We are basically genetically modifying it, right? You know, so my point is that you cannot, at the end of the day, you have to address two issues. One is that, as Hassan rightly mentioned, that there are a lot of people going hungry. So their daily needs related to food needs to be addressed. And secondly is the health you people. So as long as the commodity that is produced is healthy, nutritious, and it addresses the need and a gap with regard, I don't see a reason of why it should be not used. For example, now even we are looking at textured meat. I mean, people are fit for it. So people are looking for textured meat, looking to improve related to not necessarily go for original meat. Because the cost of processing producing meat is much more than in terms of processing and producing textured meat. Right now the prices will not reflect, but at some point of time people will figure that out. So my point is that we are anyway looking at we are anyway eating genetically modified, and if you see the question is you have to also look at healthy options. I'll give you an example. For example, I mean 60 years back we were a major producer of millets, bajra, jawar, so forth, ragi and so forth. But and our grandmothers used to give ragi and everything, but the productivity was very less. So there was a lot of transition of grains to wheat and other commodities to ensure to ensure that the scarcity need is addressed in the country. And now that I think we can go back at looking at a healthier lifestyle, looking at what can be done to ensure that the productivity of healthier options are improved. And GMO is one of the tools by which it is done.
Umair, go ahead. You can ask the last question. This will be the last question for today's session.
Thank you.
Sir, how to store seasonal vegetables in cold storage and storehouse and still keep them fresh?
Umair, the idea of storing multiple commodities is to understand what is the best temperature they operate at in terms of increasing the shelf life. So if you're looking to put a cold storage, one thing is you should have multi-chambers. That is very important. Multi-chamber addresses two things that are important for that. One is it addresses the fact that you can put different fruits or vegetables in each of the chambers and operate them separately. Secondly, multi-chamber also addresses the need of your operational cost, because you don't want to put an entire cold storage electricity on just because 20% of the space is occupied, right? So you should have the ability to switch off or on different chambers depending upon which are operational, which are not, and that helps in your operational cost and capacities. But today India has a very good cold storage infrastructure emerging, and it also has the required vendors to put those cold storage infrastructures in place. You have puff panels, you have prefabricated structures by which that same can be done. Keep in mind that it should be done in multi-storage. Different commodities, you can have it at -18, -20 degrees, depending upon frozen food commodities, or you can have a 0 to 10 degrees, depending upon what fruit and vegetable you are really putting it. Even done it at 15 degrees centigrade, depending upon what commodities we are addressing. So, depending upon that, we kind of address it, have a multi-chamber, have a stage in which operational capacities and costs can be managed, and that's how we do it.
सर जनरली अगर हम एक ही विलेज से कुछ वेजिटेबल्स परचेस कर रहे हैं तो सर हमें 2-3 वेजिटेबल्स सप्लाई हो रही होती हैं तो सर और हमें सारी वेजिटेबल स्टोर करनी है एंड वी डोंट वांट टू गो टू मंडीज आल्सो सो हाउ कैन वी रिड्यूस दिस ऑपरेशन सप्लाई चेन मैनेजमेंट सर मंडी वाला जो ऑप्शन है वो रिड्यूस करना है हमें और सर डायरेक्ट फार्मर
अगर आप मिडलमैन को रिड्यूस करना चाहते हैं then you have to do it directly from the farmers, all right? उसमें क्या रहता है कि farmers want security, so when they are growing their crops, अगर आप एक अंडरस्टैंडिंग में आ जाए फार्मर के साथ कि आप इस एरिया में अपने फार्म में जो भी ग्रो करेंगे मैं उसको खरीदने के लिए तैयार हूं और मैं इस प्राइस पे खरीदूंगा आपसे. फार्मर नोस कि मैं उस अपने जब प्रोडक्शन करूंगा तो कितना पेस्टिसाइड डालूं, कितना मैन्योर डालूं, कितना फर्टिलाइजर डालूं. ही कैन वर्क विद दैट कॉस्ट एंड ही हैज द सिक्योरिटी नोइंग कि मेरे पास जो भी मैं भी प्रोड्यूस कर रहा हूं वो हार्वेस्ट करने के बाद देयर इज ऑलरेडी एन एग्जिस्टिंग बायर. सो द बेस्ट वे टू डू इज टू शेक हैंड विद फार्मर्स, have an understanding contracts with them, source directly from them if you can. If they're a small farmer, pick it up, एक ही region में है तो एक ट्रक भेजो regularly and get it from their farmer as it gets harvested and bring it to your cold storage unit and then store it out, multi commodities and multi chamber.
Thank you so much, sir. We know that we are restricted by time, and I'd like to thank you personally for engaging yourself in greatly in our questions. I'd like to call upon Jamshed sir to say a few words.
Thanks, Jitendra. Thanks, sir. Master, sir, can you come for 2 minutes? Master, sir.
Yes, Jamshed bhai. Jamshed bhai, yes, I am here.
Please conclude because today you were not getting time.
Yeah.
Can you conclude the event if you want to say something, please?
Yes. So first of all, Sagar sir, many thanks that you have addressed our students, and I, on behalf of Enable, I again want to from the bottom of my heart wants to again thank you that you have spared such a time and gave so much valuable information about the food processing industry. And I have gone through the website. I have seen what certificates and awards and recognition has been given for organization. In just shorter, very quickly, can you just tell me that can I make my students enabled to get into your let's say company in future some positions come out?
Yeah, I was waiting for someone to ask me that. So from our point of view, we are always open for internships as well as for hiring. We are open to interns. We have 2-month internship programs in which we take interns and assess them. And we are also looking at somebody with the food technology experience, which we typically hire from time to time. So anybody, our company is open with regard to that.
Sure, sir. So kindly, sir, allow me, let's say, after in a separate one-to-one call or a one-to-one time you will give me, and I will just get to know that what are the exact skills required for a particular, because we have our one program as role readiness program. for
Yeah, for anybody who wants to send us anything, please email us to SFC Singapore Frankfurt
I will
Canada
share. I will share. I will share.
at
I will.
sumanconsultants.com.
I will share,
thank you, sir.
inshallah.
Thank you.
I will
Thank
share.
you.
Sagar sir,
Thank
every beautiful moment of the life will end, and actually it will not end. It will be with us for the lifetime. And your presence here with our student is much more encouraging, because whatever you have started from scratch. Many things which our audience or students are not knowing, and you have felt your presence in that area where it is very tough. Normally, business schools are not able to put more attention towards the food and agriculture belt. So there would be there are something which you have created, and it is a now people are following. When you have started, no one was following this area as a big business potential.
Yes.
Your speak and your thing, which is many things we have not covered in such a small time. But obviously, the students will follow you at LinkedIn. The student will not leave you. They will inspire themselves with your words, with your whatever the achievements. And hopefully, we are eager to listen more when the physical days will be over. It will start, because the online things are not giving the body just and many things which we are not able to transfer. Thanks a lot for your time, patience, and thanks to the authorities of Jamia Hamdard who have been so supportive to me to accommodate such session, and especially the coordinator of the students who did hard work to gather the students, to convince them about the food is also one of the prominent place in a business industry, and they get these audiences so that they have some attention towards that. It's the first point, that should get some attention. Later of the time they will learn more, because still the participation in this COVID era, the only growing sector was agriculture. So that's I'm very thankful for the everything, every contribution to everyone, and thanks to Enable for being with us, being partner with all these events, and giving tech and as well as expertise support. Uh, Hope we will soon meet again, inshallah. Uh, Thanks a lot,
Inshallah.
sir. Sagar sir, thanks a lot for your time. And even you was very busy, very hectic schedule you have. Then too, you just given some time. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Dr.
thank
Bashir.
you.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much, sir.
I
It was a
really
pleasure.
appreciate the opportunity of making my presentation and allowing me to share my thoughts on the subject. Thank you so much.
Our student will contact you for internship opportunity if they would like to do that. Okay, sir.
Zarur, Zarur. Thank you. Dr.
Thank
Jamshid, thank you so much. Look forward to it. Thank
Uh,
you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
sir, you can leave now. We have some meeting here with the students.
I'm just trying to figure out where to leave from. I guess I'll just close.
Sir, there is a red. Okay. The coordinators, accordingly, we would have some meeting right now. Okay. So the
Yes, sir.
coordinators should
I
stay.
request the coordinators to stay
Participant can leave.
online.
Abdul Hannan, please coordinate with Naqi sir and take the feedback form, or Bhaskar sir, take the feedback form and the
Mhm.
certificate preparation. Okay. There
Sir,
was those. Hmm.
I was maybe I should
Sir,
call you
last two.
personally. I should call you personally regarding this. आप फोन पे
Okay.
अवेलेबल हैं अभी?
Yes, I am.
सर लास्ट टू वेबिनार्स के भी सर्टिफिकेट्स अभी अवेलेबल नहीं हुए हैं
You
Okay.
will get those certificates. Hanan is working on it. Now participants can leave, and I request coordinators to stay back.
Akbar, just a minute. Beta, we are working on it,
Okay.
and few of the students have received some of the certificate. Have you received? Any one of you have received the certificate?
Yes,
सर
sir.
ओनली द फर्स्ट वन
Yes, sir.
सर
I
सम
have
Sir,
received first
it's
one.
सर
first
फर्स्ट
one.
वन
So, meanwhile, it has some problem, but we will solve it and we will get it done. Don't worry. You
ओके
you are in our record, and even though you will not get certificate, the placement cell itself give a certification at the end if we are not able to sort out. But hopefully, we will solve it. Don't worry. Every
ओके
event is being that will be certified. Inshallah, we'll do that. Okay. So as Asba said, that you all can leave now, and we will start with the meeting with the coordinators. Please leave.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Allah.
Thank you, sir. Allah.
Thank you, Allah Hafiz.
Thank you, sir.
अल्लाह हाफिज सर।
अरे यही तो मैं भूल जाता हूँ।
Students who are not the coordinators can leave.
सर आई थिंक एक नई लिंक बना लेते हैं क्योंकि ऐसे बहुत कंफ्यूजन हो रही है।
यस सर।
आई नो कोऑर्डिनेटर्स कौन कौन है, ऐसे बार बार क्या लिंक क्रिएट करेंगे। जो नहीं एडमिन कौन है सर, आप एडमिन है क्या?
उन्हें हम रिमूव कर सकते हैं जो लेफ्ट नहीं कर रहे हैं।
बट इनका स्क्रीनशॉट ले लो जो नहीं जा रहे हैं, क्योंकि ये
हो
वो लोग
जाएगा।
हैं जिन्होंने लॉगिन तो किया है बट दे हैव नॉट अटेंडेड,
यस
दे आर
सर,
नॉट लिसनिंग इवन। इनका स्क्रीनशॉट ले लो
यस सर।
प्लीज ले लो, क्योंकि ये वो लोग हैं इनमें से कई जो सिर्फ घुस गए हैं और बस जगह खराब कर दिया।
सर हनान एडमिन तो हो गया।
मैं
नहीं
हूँ, मैं
एडमिन जमशेद
जी
सर है,
सर।
जमशेद
आप
सर है।
लीजिए फिर मैं हटाता हूँ एक एक करके। आप ले
सर
लिया
हाँ,
स्क्रीनशॉट इसका?
हाँ ले लिया सर।
ओके।
सर
यस
मोहम्मद
स्क्रीनशॉट
अली
बस ले लें, एक
याजदानी,
मिनट।
ये तो हमारे साथ नहीं है, इनको हटा दूं?
यस सर, नहीं है कोऑर्डिनेटर ये।
यस सर
मिसबा
गुड है।
अहमद,
नहीं मिसबा
नहीं
सलीक शुजा,
नहीं।
नहीं।
ये सब वो लोग हैं जिन्होंने अटेंड नहीं किया है। और ये तो ब्रिजिन तो अपना है ही है, ये बस लॉगिन करके बैठे
सर
हैं।
ये भी नहीं है कोऑर्डिनेटर, हटा दीजिए।
ब्रिजिन आई विल सी यू।
बेचारा यार।
तो ऐसे पकड़े जाते हैं लोग, मच्छी पकड़ में आ गए। अरसलान खान, ये
नहीं
भी वही
सर
है।
ये भी नहीं है।
ये सब अनअटेंडेड लोग हैं। विष्णु तो है हमारे साथ, नीदा भी है, अब्दुल्ला सर तो जाहिर सी बात है वो है ही नहीं यहाँ पे।